So basically puts in, an offer, smoking offer, well over asking. And this is as the market was adjusting. And basically the seller's agent sends a text message back and says, well, here's the situation. We're actually taking offer that's less than yours, not just a little, not like $1,000, but tens of thousands less than his offer, because his client insisted that they use a conventional loan. Right? Because they didn't want to work with a VA buyer. They didn't want to work with a VA buyer.
Hey, what's up, guys? Charles Vamadeva here again, MaxVALoan.com. I got a very special guest in the studio today, none other than Kris McCullough. And you notice I put the at the end.
Yeah, that's all good.
Is that a good Scottish name?
Yeah, that's fine. It's actually Irish. But,
Irish, okay. Yeah. Good. Kris, retired Marine, many years in the service, realtor, team lead at Kim Steele Associates, and the Real Estate Blitz, which is a wonderful real estate show on YouTube.
Yeah,
and so he hit me up, and we were talking because he got if you don't mind me telling.
No, not at all.
He got a text message from an agent, a listing agent, on an offer that his agent had made involving a VA buyer, and that text message sparked this interview or this discussion. Tell us what happened.
So one of my agents, Henry, hits me up and says, I just lost a buyer. So basically puts in, an offer, smoking offer, well over asking. And this is as the market was adjusting. And basically the seller's agent sends a text message back and says, well, here's the situation. We're actually taking offer that's less than yours, not just a little, not like $1,000, but tens of thousands less than his offer, because his client insisted that they use a conventional loan. Right? Yeah. Because they didn't want to work with a VA buyer. They didn't want to work with a VA buyer. Henry, of course, just down and out. He's a new agent. He's actually an active duty Army guy, staff and SEAL in the Army. And he was pretty excited about it. It's his first deal. And He was just floored, and he's just really bitter. He's like, how and why? Here it is. We're tens of thousands of dollars over what they were asking. It's a clean offer. They can show that they have the money. They actually had money for a down payment, all of this. But they would rather say no and wait for another offer because they believe the VA loan sucks. So, and I think for me, when I look at it, so, of course, KSA, we're in Southern California, Real Estate Blitz, I have people all over the world on YouTube that watch me and, of course, on Facebook, et cetera. But as I really look at Southern California, and I started thinking, I need to talk to somebody, because I've come to the conclusion that agents, the reason why I started the Real Estate Blitz, real estate agents are undereducated. Sometimes, in my opinion, overpaid, and they can't afford to go out and get good real estate coaching. So the Real Estate Blitz, I'm not a coach, I'm not a guru, but I want to put information out there based off of what I'm doing and what success I found to help other real estate agents. And the VA loan is a huge one. So when I started asking myself, okay, who can I talk to educate agents? And honestly, you're the best lender as far as anybody that knows the VA loan inside and out, or just VA in general, and really goes out of their way to help veterans. It's you. So you're the first person that I reached out to, because I think this is important. It has to get out there.
I got to ask you, how did you respond to that listing agent?
I almost went after the agent, and I didn't. The hardest part, I think, when you talk about fiduciary duty, because I specifically focus on sellers. I have a team that works with buyers, but for me, it's sellers. And I understand what's going on. I don't like what's going on, but I understand what's going on. So basically, it's a mix of two things. You have a fiduciary duty to a client that's ignorant. It's not a negative word. Some people say, oh, ignorant, that's mean. It's not a negative word.
Because they're not in real estate.
They're not in real estate.
Sure.
Then you have an agent that also is ignorant, right? And then so based off of not only ignorant, but probably doesn't have the courage because they don't either have enough information so they could talk intelligently to what the VA loan is, or loans in general. And it's sort of like, well, they say they want a cash offer. All deals are closed in cash. Right?
There's money showing up.
There's money showing up in your account. Depending on if, to me, when I hear I want a cash offer, I'm expecting a certain thing. So whether it's a renovation, this, that, and the other. But if we still have all the same contingencies, then cash is cash. Right? So if I'm still not going to buy your house because the roof is shot and you refuse to fix it, then it's not a cash deal.
Let me ask you this. If you were that listing agent and your seller, your client had said, no, I'm not taking a VA deal, they must have their preconceived ideas about what happened. What would you have said to your client, to your seller? And what should that agent have said?
This is what I teach all of our agents. Feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found. I completely understand how you feel. You know what? In fact, I felt the same way at one point in time. However, what I found out is the VA loan is this.
Outstanding.
Here's the benefits, this.
Right.
And here's how it works out as far as a benefit to you as a seller to actually take this loan.
So that listing agent inadvertently basically quashed a good qualified veteran's ability to purchase that home. He's going to go buy something else.
Yep.
Just because of ignorance.
Well, and like I said, I think it's a mix of ignorance, definitely ignorance, but the ignorance is what creates the lack of courage. So because I know enough, I can intelligently talk to something. Now, if the client after the fact says, I hear you. Now, okay, let me back up. Real estate agents, we're in sales. Okay. And I think part of being in sales is whomever is your client. So whatever sales you're in, you could be selling grapefruits for all I care, right? You have to sit there and be intelligent enough to explain why your grapefruit is superior and walk your buyers or sellers of grapefruits through what it is and why it's a superior product. Well, here we are. So if I work for you and I'm your seller's agent, I should be bringing enough information to the table for you so I can help guide you. Right? Because my fiduciary duty is to work for you, but I should be guiding you down the right path because this is what I do for a living. I'm the professional that you hired. Right. So I think it starts with ignorance, and then the ignorance manifests in lack of courage and inability to express why a product is good or not good.
You've been a combat veteran. You served. How does that make you feel when your peers, your comrades, are basically, for want of a better word, discriminated against?
Oh, and yeah.
How does that make you? How does that make you feel?
I think that was my first reaction when I saw Henry's text message was just anger. Here's the thing: a program was put in place, whether people like it or not, for veterans. That's what the VA loan is, right? VA loan is
a benefit.
It's a benefit for veterans. Whether you did, 3 years, I did over 20, I was over 20 years, for whatever reason, that's a benefit that I get. And everybody on different levels, actually, I'll even wash that. I won't even say different levels. What I'll say is having the willingness to raise your hand, which is such a small percentage of our total society, a very, very small percentage of our society, the willingness to say, I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to step up and be willing to lay down my life for our country because I believe in X. And some people, they may join the military not because they believe in anything, but just because they're looking for an escape or they're looking for school programs or even a VA loan, right? But eventually find it within their heart to really love our country and love the military and that experience that they have. And to go and say, you know what, I don't care, screw you. Yeah, it pisses me off. It upsets me.
In some sense, it feels to me like some of the blame needs to be laid on the Department of Real Estate and the licensing courses that agents take, because there seems to be a complete absence of accurate information about the advantages of the VA loan. Sure, there are some challenges.
What do you think that is? So it's funny. I just took a note. What do you think that is?
As far as the advantages?
Yeah.
Or as far as
why isn't it taught? So I'm not going to get into that debate. Why it isn't taught when it comes to getting your real estate license, the VA programs in general.
It's just not in the curriculum. And perhaps that's because back in the day, VA loans had a stigma attached to them. Maybe they took I'm just speculating. Maybe they took a long time to get done back in 30 years ago, right? When I'd have to ask, when was the curriculum put together, right? When you go get your DRE license, whatever you're reading, when was that? You're looking at ethics and all of that. There seems to be a complete lack of good content in the initial course that an agent takes to become a licensed realtor. That's just my thought.
Right. You know what I think it is I'm not going to say negative stuff because I don't want anybody coming after our team.
No, I get it.
But
it's an open forum. It's an open forum.
What I would say is I think most agents view the VA loan as, well, that's a lender thing. Conventional loans, that's a lender thing. So me personally, maybe it's because I was in the Marine Corps for so long. I'm trying to become a master of my craft.
Sure.
This is what I do. I'm trying to find a certain level of mastery and then push past that, right? It's trying to exceed my own expectations. But I think when it comes to the baseline, and I'm not saying, I know there's always the huge argument online. People talk about the barrier of entry being too low. to get a real estate license. I don't agree with that. I think once people get their license, they don't go to exceed their own expectations and master their profession,
Their
right?
craft, right.
So exactly, mastering their craft. But I think when it comes to setting up the license or the curriculum for it, they look at it not from the point of view, why shouldn't real estate agents understand different loan programs? Even simple stuff. If you started getting into was it Tzilla and all those other fun stuff, right?
Sure.
Why can't we talk about RESPO a little bit?
Right.
I think that stuff should be in there, personally. And I think the different variations of loan programs and products, especially if you're going to be working with buyers, and it's that important because people don't realize how much harm a real estate agent can do.
Sure.
A lot of harm. If you have an ignorant real estate agent or a lazy real estate agent, you're hurting families.
Let me ask you this. Are brokers not responsible to a large extent in educating and updating their agents on not just the VA home loan benefit, but other things like that?
Well, I agree. Yes.
Should they not be providing more content to level the playing field, right?
But now let's talk about like really dirty secrets. Okay. Let's talk about like, and it's funny because again, the real estate blitz, when I started it and I still talk about it, so KSA started as a full-time investments business for me. Kim, my wife, quit her job to become my real estate agent because I hated and still hate in a lot of ways real estate agents because I don't think they do enough. I think they, again, undereducated, overpaid, and unfortunately can't always afford to go out there and get the education that they need to be true professionals. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm not saying that everybody is. In fact, I'd say there's a ton of great, especially in Southern California, there's a ton of great agents here. But I think when it comes to brokers, when it comes to trying to talk about programs like the VA or conventional loans or lending in general, the processes, procedures, they're too busy trying to bring a lender into the office so they can find a benefit. Now, going back to RESPA. Now, are they breaking any laws? No, not at all.
Sure.
But they're focused on building their own relationship. And I know even when we had our own brokerage, there are so many, and I talk about this on the Blitz too, there's so many different variations of vampire bites in brokerages that are bleeding agents. That's why, like the brokerage I'm in, we don't have that. But a lot of brokerages, they're not, they don't care if you win. They don't care if you lose as an individual agent. The agent is the commodity. All they care is that they get their juice, right? So instead of actually sending out something and creating a more professional agent, they're more focused on trying to ensure that they have different pipelines of money coming in.
That's crazy.
I think that's the truth on a lot of levels. Now, is it bad? No, it's just a business model. But I know at least, so same thing, when I reach out to you, I want to make sure on the real estate blitz, but also for our own agents on our team, and even within our brokerage, we do these things because we do want a higher caliber of agent.
Of course. Let me ask you this. Out of all the misconceptions, misinterpretations, myths, or what have you, that agents believe about the VA home loan, which one stands out the most? From your experience, from you having interactions with agents, what is it that makes agents feel like, oh my God, that's taboo, I'm not going to take that offer?
So I'll answer the question, but then it almost gives me like a series of questions to you because you're the expert. And I think I could tell you what I think, but I would, as an agent, and I think even when you and I were talking a little bit yesterday before we got on today, sometimes I like to come in completely ignorant and ask the professional, like, what do you think? So this is why I think so many agents feel the way that they do. The same reason why I think a lot of people believe it's a bad idea. So we're talking about average Americans in Southern California at a certain time in the year. Well, this is the worst time ever to buy a house. Okay. Well, and I'm telling you, I talk to people, buyers, and okay, well, why do you feel that way? So, well, I read an article that said this is the worst time to buy. Okay. Where was that article written? Let's pull it up real quick. It's usually somewhere like Wisconsin. Right? Or Minnesota. It's in Minnesota. Right? And they're in 12 feet of snow. Yeah, of course. It's probably a really bad time because they just had a blizzard. And the person writing the article, they aren't going outside. Here, it's still hot. Okay? That means people are still buying. So I think what it comes down to is agents here. I think our business in general, in a lot of ways, is it's a speculation-based business. So if people feel, if the general public feels the real estate market is bad, it's bad. So I think when it comes to loan products, VA loan product specific, I think the general public feels that it's bad and not as good as conventional loan or cash. Therefore, most agents, because they aren't educated and they don't sit down and talk to their lenders and say, hey, teach me something. They just take based off of what they know, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Right? They go, oh, well, that's right. It is a bad loan. We want to stay away from that.
Right. The insinuation that comes through the phone line not every single time, but a lot of the times from a listing agent is, hey, this person's borrowing 100%, no money down. They got no skin in the game, supposedly. They equate that to weak buyer. You got no money. You need to borrow 100%. You need all your closing costs covered. You can do an EMD of $500. And so there's this.
But what does that have to do with the seller? And
Good
when you
point.
look at the loan product, so that's why so I said I'll answer it, but then it just spurs me to ask you questions because I think from the expert, this is your profession. Maybe you could educate me, and I'm looking to share this video on the Real Estate Blitz. So let's start off with the basics.
Yeah.
So if we're sitting here talking about VA loan, so what is the VA loan?
Really, a VA loan is a loan made by a regular institution, a bank, credit union, whatever.
Say that again, a regular institution.
Lender.
Okay.
Yeah, a regular bank, mortgage company, not by the VA. What's different is the VA comes behind there and guarantees it. There's a portion of that loan that's guaranteed by the Department of
So
VA.
let me get this right. So, and it's funny because I told you this yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sound like I don't know anything because it just gets me excited.
Right.
Okay, so let me get this right. Regular institution, primary market, and it's no different than a regular institution backing a regular loan, right? Okay, so it's just a loan.
The lender's going to make a loan up to 100% of the price of the home. The VA is going to come behind that, so we're going to guarantee that loan. If our veteran falls behind or for some reason the loan defaults, we're going to make you whole to the tune of 25% of the loan amount, right? So there's a guarantee that's applied by the VA. That's what makes it a VA loan. Other than that, it's just a loan, right? And where I see a lot of agents trip is, oh, you're borrowing 100%? What do you mean? You don't have any money? Oh, you're weak? You've got nothing to lose? And the fact is, the way I explain it, Chris, is really what a VA buyer is most of the time is a conventional buyer that opted to use his or her benefit. Really
there it is. There it is. You hit it right on the head.
They have the ability to go conventional. In fact, statistics, and I've got some figures here from 2020, the median income and the median assets of a veteran is higher than that of a civilian.
Right.
FICO score 736 in 2020 average over 672 FHA. So you've got a stronger buyer, a more able buyer. If they're active duty, their employment is stout, right? They're not going to go out of business tomorrow.
Right.
They just opted to not put money down because their service gave them that entitlement, right? That ability.
Yeah.
You can't fault someone for that.
You know what's funny? So now we're going to make it goofy. I love seeing real estate agents on Facebook or on Instagram taking their super cool pictures, talking about how they're an entrepreneur and they're just balling. They're making all this money and they're driving their cool car. And they'll share videos about entrepreneurship. And it's wild when we talk about the VA loan based off of what you just said too. So you're telling me, you as an entrepreneur with all these really cool, cute pictures, and they're always the cute pictures, right? Even the guys, which is great. I take cute pictures. I don't care. I post it on there. And now you're going to tell me, so let me get this right. You're telling me if I can get a loan, whether it's on a car or anything else, and I can leverage somebody else's money and keep more of my money so I can put it into other things in order to generate more money for me. You think that's bad?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, keep posting up those cute pictures about how you're an entrepreneur, but you don't get it.
Wow.
You don't get it.
The default rate, 2020, latest figures I have, the default rate on a VA loan was 1.98%. Conventional was just about 2.5%. Well, apparently lenders are going to like these loans better. Yeah. And so they're more prone to do the loan than not do the loan because the default rate is lower than FHA was 9%.
Yeah. And it's funny because everybody always wants to chase after an FHA.
1 out of 10 FHA buyers is going to default.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. The appraisal, I think, is a big stigma, right? With listing agents, they have this sense that, it's guaranteed. The appraiser's going to pick it apart. They're going to come in low. I'm sure you've seen and heard that. Okay. Yeah. What do you tell us?
Okay. So, so on the buyer side, if the buyer has that perception and if I'm the buyer's agent, I go, that's great. Okay. And I let it ride. Don't you want that? Don't you want somebody that's going to go in there and actually look out for your best interests?
Makes sense.
Okay. On the seller side, I always, from the moment I sit at the first listing appointment, there may be things that come up. There are things that need to get done because you're doing right by the other person. And it's funny because almost at every buyer's appointment, we walk through and they go, well, I was thinking about doing this. Well, if you do it, I'm just going to be blunt with you. That's charity. It'll make you feel good. It's not going to get you any more money when you sell your house. However, see this, and this, because that's what I'm looking for. This, and this could probably make us fall out of escrow.
Wow.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, let's talk about that. You just want to do charity over here, but if we're trying to do right by somebody to really burn out the equity so you can move forward and start the next chapter in your life. Because that's really what's going on. Every time we buy a house, and I guess that's the way I've always looked at it. That's why I love working with sellers. You're either starting a chapter or ending a chapter so you can start another chapter of your life, whatever that might look like.
That's
and
good.
it's usually broken into age groups. Especially I love working with older clients because they're transitioning to a completely different space, right? So we're going to do right by the people that are buying this property. We're going to give a good price. We're going to get a good price, right? I want to, of course, get you the most money in the shortest amount of time. But there are going to be things. I don't even sit there and candy coat. Well, there might be. No, there are going to be things that we may have to address.
Right.
To do right by the person that's buying this home.
Wow.
And if you are looking to transition and start your next thing, wouldn't you want somebody to do that for you as well?
Right.
That's what the appraisal is there for. It's to ensure that the bank A is covering their money, right? But on top of that, ensuring that the next person that's purchasing that property is getting a quality product for the amount of money that they're spending, especially in Southern California.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Really what we're talking about here is just leveling the playing field, right? We're not asking for some special treatment for veterans. We're just saying be fair.
I would even go further. Okay, okay, be fair. But how about, I keep going back to what you just said a little bit ago. This is a conventional loan that's backed by the VA.
A conventional buyer that's choosing a loan backed by the VA. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Well, okay. So now I'm using wrong words, but let me explain what's in my head. It is the same banks. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same banks that create conventional loans that's still going to pay you cash for a property that's backed by the VA. That's backed by
guaranteed by the VA.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yes, level the playing field. It's a great product. And I think even going back to Feel Felt Found and the thing I just said a second ago, it's really about real estate agents understanding the product, which is why I kind of wanted to sit down with you to educate agents so they can educate the sellers and also educate their buyers on what this product is and why it's good, why it's not evil, it's not bad. I wouldn't even say, to go out of your way and just sell VA loans. I think that's absolutely a model. But be educated enough to where you can talk competently to your buyer or seller, specifically the sellers. I see it on the seller side the most.
Right.
I tell you, I've walked into so many seller appointments.
Yeah.
And right off, first appointment.
Yeah.
I know I don't want a VA loan.
Oh.
Well, okay, that's interesting. So I always say, great. Awesome. I'm just curious. Why?
What did you hear?
Why?
Right.
And then I go right back to Feel Felt Found. I completely understand how you feel. Wow. I felt the same way. However, what I found out is, and then I educate them. Now, this tells me in the listing appointment one of two things. I'm at a point in my career where I don't take on every client I run into. I just don't. I don't.
You don't have to.
I don't have to, and I don't always want to.
Sure.
Because I understand the energy that's going to be involved with certain people.
Right.
So I'll either say, hey, why don't you check out this team or check out this agent, or I hand them off to somebody and on our team to work with them. But as I'm listening to them, if they won't take my professional direction and opinion because this is what I do all day long, I probably don't want to work with them anyways.
That's a good point.
Because you might as well just do it for sale by owner. Wow. Just do it for sale by owner, bud. Right. You got it all figured out.
Right.
Well, I've sold some homes in my lifetime. Oh, great. How many? Oh, I've sold 5. Man, I did that last week. But, right on, man. You know what you're doing? I really think you should do it for sale by owner.
There's a tremendous need in the community for educating sellers and agents. And sadly, what the veterans are seeing and how they're being dealt with a lot of times would cause them to just turn away from home ownership and just go away for a year or 2 years or whatever. They might get buyer fatigue, right? They get shot down. Their offers are getting shot down. We have a great responsibility, right?
Oh, yeah.
We do as lenders and realtors to put good information out there.
I think it's the highest responsibility. Again, you're talking about people's lives, chapters, young family, starting a family, trying to get into their first home. I just sat down on an appointment last Thursday, and trying to say, okay, new family, this is your direction. Don't buy the house because you love it. Well, the interest rates. Look, you're fall in love with the house. Don't fall in love with the house. Buy it with intent because you're so young, but date the rate. Okay, you got to understand, especially when you talk about amortization of a loan over
Sure.
time. But again, I educate myself so I can explain this to somebody that's buying.
Right.
This is why you should be buying as a young couple. Okay, now you talk about an older family.
Yeah.
Well, this is everything that I have.
Wow.
I'm trying to move closer to my grandkids. I need to go into a facility.
Yeah.
My wife needs medical care, and this is what's going on. I'm going to downsize. Somebody that's in between. Well, I'm looking to step up and get something a little bit larger.
Yeah.
I want a pool.
Yeah.
You're talking about people's lives, their dreams. And it's wild because I see stuff on Facebook and they go,
Yeah.
oh, well, you're willing to pay 15% on your car. Yeah, a car for $24,000.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. More than most people can even fathom wrapping their head around.
It's a big decision.
It's a huge decision. And then because of ignorance or arrogance,
Yeah.
and lack of sitting down and trying to learn somebody's craft, you're
Right.
going to hurt somebody.
Wow. And deprive them of an opportunity
Right.
that they earned, that they have the right to get in
Absolutely.
on. Good information, Chris. This
Absolutely.
is great content. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up? That
I
you
got
think is,
like 2 questions for you.
Yeah, of course. Uh-huh.
What do you think real estate agents should know? So we'll start with sellers. What do you think a seller's agent should know about the VA loan?
There's a lot of different things. I mean,
Great.
first of all, the buyer is a lot more qualified than you might think.
That's a huge one.
Yeah, I think that's the core of it. Is there's this stigma attached to the VA that the veteran is broke, doesn't have any money. That's why they're borrowing 100%. God forbid if the value came in low, they couldn't make up the difference if they needed to, and so that's got to go away. I mean, the statistics show that veterans are stronger.
So even when they talk about that, so let's go into like earnest money. I always found this, especially in California. So Texas, a little bit different. Let's say you put $10,000 down, a new build.
Yeah.
If you don't close, they're going to take your $10,000.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
We just dealt with a client moving from here to there. California,
Yeah.
I put $10,000 down, $20,000, $100,000, $300,000 down.
Yeah.
If I say, I don't like it, guess what? You get $0 as you get $0 as a seller.
Sure.
Okay. So to me, earnest money is saying I'm putting money here to move forward in good faith on this deal. It doesn't mean that I'm going to close, but that I'm moving forward in good faith. When you have the backing of the VA, so they come in with $500 saying I'm going to move forward in good faith. And if they're getting a VA loan, that means they're highly qualified. What's different?
Yeah. At the end of the day, the money is the money, right? And I think we have to look at the ability of that veteran to close in comparison to a conventional buyer.
Great.
Right. The ability to close. Maybe FHA is a different segment of all of that. But we find, I mean, here's a quote from the VA handbook. As long as, I'm sorry, this is a different quote. Underwriters are encouraged to consider every possible appropriate factor in seeking a proper basis for approving, not disapproving, approving loan applications for every qualified veteran.
That's what's up.
The handbook's telling the underwriter, if I can paraphrase, hey, find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Find a way. Not, hey, be so conservative that you resort to the most conservative, fearful position and say, no, we're not going to do that loan because this. Encouraged to consider every possible. So we find when we use that mentality, and we throw that in the face of the underwriter all the time. I do. And we say to the underwriter, let's find a way to make this work. Why? Because we know the default rate's less than 2%.
Right.
The chances are she is going to make their payments on time. I think that's a huge thing.
It's huge.
The ability to close. We're talking about the ability to finish, to get to the finish line at escrow so money is wired to your account, seller.
Right.
That ability to close is really high with VA.
So what about, so we talked about what do you think sellers should know? What do you think, sellers agents, excuse me, what do you think buyers agents should know about the VA loan?
Buyers agents, I believe, should know that the appraisal is not automatically going to come in more conservative with a lot of issues. That's just not the case because the appraisals are done by the same appraisers that do conventional FHA, right? They use the same data, core logic, or what have you. And even if they come in with repairs, MRPs, those can in some cases be waived by the veteran requesting it. So I think buyers agents have to be bolder.
Oh, yeah.
They have to be bolder. They have to be more assertive and stand their ground and say, no, this is not a weak offer.
Yeah.
Just because we're asking
And
for
educate the seller's agent if they have to.
Exactly right. They have to, in their core being, they got to believe that this is a good loan. And I feel like that's not always the case. I feel like a lot of times the buyer's agents themselves are a little apprehensive.
Okay. So so it kind of leads me to like my last question. So I agree with you 100%. And, and I'll get to that. This is why I think when it comes to big reason why I reached out to you. So in my opinion, in Southern California, you are, if not the best,
well, thank you.
You are absolutely the most knowledgeable person when it comes to veteran loan programs or veterans in general and how you care about veterans and also the VA program specifically. If an agent feels uncomfortable, they don't feel bold wherever they are, because like I said, a lot of people are going to be watching us on the Real Estate Blitz. Wherever you are, anywhere in the United States, you need to find somebody like this guy. Seriously, right? And sit there and just beat up their phone line and say, teach me something, educate me so I can talk intelligently about it. So this kind of leads me to the last one. And it's funny because I know the answer, but I find it's sad. But can all lenders, can a majority of lenders do the VA loan?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a loaded question.
It is very.
Just about.
It's a very loaded question.
Right. Just about every lender has the VA loan as in their product mix.
Right.
The problem is, and no names mentioned, right? Everyone's got their place in the lending landscape. The problem is a lot of lenders have overlays. Overlays are that lender investors' preferences, restrictions that they superimpose on top of the true VA guidelines. And then what you wind up with is some mutant VA loan.
Right.
It's like a mutation of a VA loan. Like, for example, some lenders will say, well, we're not lending on manufactured housing.
Right.
Well, why not? We just don't want to do it. Well, the VA loan allows manufactured housing.
Right.
Well, we're not going to do it. That's an overlay. We want a 640 FICO score. Why? The VA doesn't require a particular FICO score. They just require creditworthiness. Well, we just want to, so you're going to turn the guy away that's got a 639 score. Yeah, we are. So yes, all lenders can do VA loans, but depending on which door you're knocking on, you could get turned away. And if you're a vet, you could get turned away, shut down, and leave thinking that is the official VA verdict, and it's not.
Right.
And you just didn't know, and your agent didn't know to go get a second opinion and engage someone that's working with the true unadulterated VA guidelines, right?
It's also a specialization. So if we were to talk about the military, and that's actually because I was sitting here, I love taking notes whenever I'm either interviewing somebody or being interviewed.
Sure.
And so you said it. A majority of lenders absolutely have it somewhere in their product mix, right? But is this what they do, or do they do it regularly? Is it something that they've mastered or specialized? I would even stretch to say that a majority of lenders, though they could do the VA loan, because they don't, and they rarely do it, they're also ignorant of how to do it the right way. They don't specialize in it. So going back to the military, so this is another one, because I have so many people, and actually when we were talking about yesterday, you've actually seen, when you are researching different things, you said you were talking to a different team, they use a certain type of a product.
Yeah, Boomtown, we were talking about it, and you popped right up there. I'm like, oh,
and I popped right up.
4 years ago.
Yeah, people find me, and it's one of those things where if you don't do that, it doesn't mean that you're a horrible lender, but you haven't gone out of your way to specialize. So in the military, we all specialize in different things. You have different MOSs, right? I feel people, whether real estate agents, and this is the hardest part for the general public because they don't know. And when you're looking for a lender, sometimes it's best to find somebody that specializes in what you want to accomplish. So that's why specifically I reached out to you, because whoever ends up watching this Real Estate Blitz is going to be potential clients. Sure. It's also going to be real estate agents. I would want them to find you, that somebody that specializes in the VA, instead of finding a lender just because they're the in-house lender. There's a great meme that I saw this morning about the real estate agent hugged up on the inside lender, as opposed to like somebody that specializes in something that's really a great broker, a mortgage broker. And I'd rather them find you than just somebody like that and then end up getting hurt, or they walk away thinking, well, I just can't do that. The VA loan sucks.
Ignorance is expensive.
It's expensive.
It's very costly for the buyer, the agent. It can be for the seller. And all we're asking, is, hey, give the vet a level playing field. Don't succumb to misinterpretations and prejudices. Really.
Oh, there it is. Prejudices.
Prejudice in this. We want to talk about color or creed or whatever, religion. We're talking about, hey, I'm going to be prejudiced against this person's offer just because of the nature of just because where their money's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pathetic.
It's awful. And it makes me pissed. It makes me mad. It really upsets me. And I think that was a big reason why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to Charles, man.
I'm glad.
I got to get on with him. And
I'm glad that you're engaged in making things right. And I think we've all got a long way to go, even in this community where we're a few miles from lots of different bases.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah.
So what does that tell you about some of the other parts of the country where you don't have a base or a big veteran community, right?
Right.
I mean, the 5 big states with veteran community is California, Virginia, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of educating to be done. We have a long way to go here.
A long way to go.
Yeah.
But that's where I think, leveraging social media,
right?
Putting out content information or starting content information.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about this content information out there to the world so people can actually consume it on a larger platform. And I think if more lenders or agents would create content that's less about, I sell houses, call me. Right. And actually put out content information because they genuinely want to help somebody. They genuinely want to educate a potential buyer or seller. They genuinely want to educate other real estate agents. I think if more agents did that, they would get more referrals. I think if agents did that, they would get more potential clients. And I think if lenders did that as well, I think that's the hard part for me as lenders. They put out content information that's really focused on them trying to bring in the low-hanging fruit as opposed to maybe going deeper. How about we have to work a little bit harder to really deal with what I consider a serious issue and challenge.
Yes.
And educating everybody, even if it isn't going to benefit me. Maybe it'll get other lenders business.
Right.
But in the process, I'm also becoming the expert within my field.
Right.
Because I'm putting out information to help everybody.
Right.
That's genuine.
Ultimately, it's got to be about that, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be about bringing value whether you make a buck or not.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that in your core, you probably shouldn't be in the business.
Yeah.
If everything you do is about money, I got to make money, as I'm not going to give of my time, of my expertise, my knowledge, it's not good.
No.
I don't think that's the spirit of the license that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, there's certain business models, especially like even influencers, especially the big one. It probably started happening 3-4 years ago, where influencers in the real estate side, they started seeing that they got a following. And this is why I say it all the time on the Real Estate Blitz. I'm not a guru. I'm not a coach. I'm not taking on, clients. I'm not trying to sell any products. I'm not trying to make any money. I'm just putting out information to try to help our industry because there's so many people that want to put us out of business.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's noble. Very noble.
So I think, again, I'm not discrediting anybody that does create a business.
Sure.
But watching people that aren't killing it in the business, but somehow they've decided that they're going to create a coaching platform, especially if you jump on Instagram, buy my book. And it's like, but you're barely keeping your own rent paid at your house. But all of a sudden you're the expert. It upsets me because a lot of people aren't coming from a genuine space of just wanting to help either the industry become better or B, people that are trying to change their lives, start a new chapter or close a chapter of my life.
Right.
And I just think if we all within the industry, because there's a lot of people in our industry, so it's not just agents, real estate agents and lenders.
Right.
We're also talking about tree service. You're talking about yard service. You're talking about pool.
Sure.
You're talking about escrow, title.
Right.
I mean, I could keep going and going and going. There's a lot of people in our country, the overall American GDP is quite a bit because of the real estate industry.
Of course.
And I just think if more people came from a genuine place of really wanting to help and prop up this industry in such a way that it really doesn't feel like such a used car sale. Oh, man, imagine what could happen.
We have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go.
Chris, I'm glad you came.
Thanks, man.
Great content, great knowledge and insight. And I guess we call this a joint show.
Yeah.
Real Estate Bliss, MaxVALoan. You know how to get a hold of each other, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Anytime, man. I think in Southern California, you're one of the experts that I respect when it comes to this. And I couldn't see myself going and trying to sit down and speak with anybody else other than you. I
appreciate the compliment.
And I'm hoping I put this out and people start calling you as well, because even if it's just to ask you for questions, and ideally you get some business from it. But it's just one of those things where I was so mad when I got that text message.
Right.
I had to start. I have to I have to start creating content
Yes.
on this subject. I have to.
Yeah. I'm glad we did. This will be the first of many.
Cool, man.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
And we'll meet you on the next show.
Right on. Have a good one.
Take care.